yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in on this episode of World of Tanks. We have Pilgrim of many pilgrims in his Ferdinand. He's got a great setup. He's top tier in a Ferdinand, although there are 3 artillery. He's going to have a bit of a tough game, so we're going to take a look at this and see what kind of advice we can give for Pilgrim. Driving a Casemate TD. Casemate TD. Now, this used to be one of my favorite tanks in the game, and that was a long time ago, maybe 5-6 years ago. And it was a beast. It had an amazing gun. The armor was definitely usable back then, but it's been power crept. It still has a nice gun. The armor is situational, not great, and it's slow. So really, a lot of the things that made it good back in the day are now sort of weaknesses, minus the good gun. Obviously, a good gun is always something nice to have. So we're going to come in and kind of sit in those bushes and then think better of it. I think that's a good idea. I would not sit out there, even though there's some nice cover and undulating terrain. With 3 artillery, you're just asking to get absolutely bombarded. Plus, with dabbing number 2, multiple of those tanks are going to go right through your upper superstructure. That's something you got to think about. The 130 PM, the Scorpion G, the TS5, none of them are going to have any trouble going through your superstructure. And probably with regular rounds as well. So nice job finding this guy. There you go. And there's a nice bounce. So minimizing his exposure. Hard to do the old side scraping thing in the Ferdinand, but managed to get the shot off right there and minimize his exposure, so the T-29 kind of had to take a bit of a chancy shot, and good job bouncing that off. I agree with this, being a little bit careful here. Right now is not the time to drive out into the middle of this open area in a Ferdinand, because if you get permatracked, you are bumming. Now he's anchoring this corner. I would say in general he wants to be over to the left more, but there isn't anybody from his team over here. Now let's find out if that actually turns out to be a good thing. But right now it looks like the Tiger 1 TS5 at least are in the middle of town. He does have the T-29 here. Now if he leaves here and goes fights in the middle, he's going to have a little time, I think, before they figure out that there's nobody over here. But they will figure it out, and then they'll start folding over. He finds the T-29. Whoa. So we're a little bit in this kind of third-person action here. Nice job. And there you go. The Scorpion G just thumps one right through. What did he go through? Right into that superstructure right there. Look at that. Holy cow. No problem penning him. 477 with regular AP. And that's what I was talking about. Even their regular rounds are not going to have too much trouble. Now, this is going to be a little tricky, especially if this T-29 decides he wants to go hold down on this corner right here. So it looks like we're going to come in and try to find out what's going on. Nice camera work. I like how you're doing that there. I would pay a little more attention forward, though. When you look back, just camera technique-wise, when I'm looking back and gathering SA, that's enough. And then start looking forward, because someone could easily show up here, and that's where your gun's pointing. And then just check and then come back. Be careful about gathering so much intel in places that aren't that important that you forget to look at the important places. The good news is you're looking. Just don't dwell. Your dwell time needs to be a little bit shorter in those kind of cases. Oh boy, are we going to come right around the corner? Okay, good. That had me a little frightened. Nope, we are. We're just going to drive around the corner. All right, fair enough. It worked out, and we're trying to go after the T-29. Okay, this is a good lesson right here. If we're going to sell out, try to get this stupid zoom to work. Doesn't want to work. If we're going to sell, let me get going here. Here we go. If we're going to sell out coming after the T-29, go wide enough that when you start to turn, you can actually come around the corner, as opposed to cutting the corner hard, where now you're going to have to expose a bunch of your front sprocket to get yourself online. That's something with a Casemate TD on corners like this. If you are intending to just come around, then go wide enough that you can start your turn early enough that you can come at him more or less squared up. However, you are going to expose yourself to guys over here, which then begs the question, all right, was I really going after him, or was I just making this weird feint? Because if it's just a weird feint, I'm still sort of exposing myself to guys over there, and someone's going to start thinking, maybe if I come over to this spot, I can start shooting a Ferdinand in the side who's trying to threaten the T-29. So either go get him or don't. Feinting with Casemate TDs is hard to do. Hard to do right. So we're really zooming out here. The Oni gets a shot. I would be zooming in. Here comes the T-29. He wants a shot, and he gets it. All right, so a little bit of a misplay right there. That was interesting. You came out, you zoom back, you're trying to gather SA. You had the T-29 cornered. The Oni backs up, gets a shot on the TS5, and then you just keep backing out. If you saw that T-29 coming, try to force him to not come around that corner until the Oni reloads. And then you have the chance to swing back around and try to get onto this TS5. And we shoot right into some really tough armor. Fortunately, does he only track? Looks like he only tracks us. And we're going to reload pretty good. There we go. Oh, another track. I think you can go right through his lower plate. There's a hit from the Crusader. And down goes the TS5. The track worked out for you. Good on you. I think I might have aimed at his lower plate with the pen on this thing, or maybe tried to go for that turret. However, you did have a guy behind him, so that must have been what you were thinking. Let's put a shot into his tracks, make sure he goes away. No. Yep, that was an angle. That was a pretty heavy angle right there. He's got him nice and trapped. You might go for the top of the turret. This should kill him. There you go. Now remember, the Scorpion G was over there, and you were spotted, and now you're driving right around the corner while you're still spotted. Let's see if you get away with it. Looks like maybe you do. Might have been an option there to wait for a little bit till you were dark, so they didn't really know you were kind of driving around the corner. Here's another open spot. You may take a hit in the side from the Scorpion. He was back up there. Unknown where he went, and you're not lit, so that's interesting. Not sure where he's fallen to. Actually, is that him? I may have missed that. He may have pushed straight down the road. Is that him there with an S? I believe it is. There's no other tank start with an S. This is irritating to me, why the names don't swap to the left when they get close to the edge of the map. That is simply not a very big deal in coding. I mean, you could easily do that for the minimap 8 years later, 7 years later, and they haven't done that. But it's like we're just getting hammered by artillery. Good news is you now know where they are, more or less. A couple of them are over in that corner. Now this is tricky. You're in a Ferdy, and you're sort of driving through streets with some pretty mobile tanks. Back up, back up. There you go. Don't charge him, because he'll then come around you. Oh, geez, look at that. All three of them appear to be in the same corner over there, and we do not have a repair kit. Yep, that's going to go poorly, I think. There we. Oh, actually, he's going to... Oh, darn it! One option in those cases, if you're quick enough with auto-aim... Yeah, I think you're going to get hit by Artie here, man. You're really exposed. One option right there is to auto... Yep, there we go. Is to auto-aim him in third... Oh, look at that. Just missed him. Auto-aim him in third person. Look at this. He's just shooting you in the face. And when you get your gun online, far away. That is one option with a casemate to you. What is he doing? He's begging for you to shoot him. I think you're going to drive right into artillery. Yep, there we go. There's one of them. And down we go. All right, man. So initial position out in the field, you decided against it. I agree with that. You went over to that corner, hung out there for a bit. I think really with you in a tier 8, top tier in this battle, going over that corner and hanging out there that long without getting your gun in the game was probably not conducive to your team winning. What you want to avoid in the Ferdinand is getting out in the open. So really these alleyways, if you're going to be assault TD boy, these alleyways in this part of the town right here, from 5 to about 7, are really its strength. You can get in here, you can isolate the enemy. You're not out in the open on this little corner here where you can get hit by artillery. Your gun would have been in the game a little bit earlier on where most of their best tanks are probably going to be. And then you can deal with the guys as they go around and get behind you and all that good stuff. I don't know if there was a big fix to this game. You only dropped 1,754. You were probably going to need another 2 or 3 to turn this thing around, and it had to be earlier, much earlier than it was, because you just lost guns too fast. Your Sturm and E-25 are alive, but they were basically out of the game the entire game, so they took 2 tanks and put them out in the field in the back on the red line. That wasn't helping you right there. So there's a lot of good excuses here, but as far as your positioning goes, I think for the Ferdinand, really this area right here, if you're going to play it as an assault TD, is the place to go. Fussed around just a little too long over here, and then you kind of drove around. I'm going to call it a little bit aimlessly. I saw you were kind of chasing lights and trying to figure out where these guys were. But instead of driving in when you're starting to lose, get yourself back to where your other guns were, which is in this area, and attempt to turtle up and see if you can't start whittling these guys down. All right, Pilgrim, that's all I've got, man. Good game there. Appreciate everybody tuning in. As always, I appreciate your support of the channel. If you haven't subscribed and you feel like you learned something here, please do so, and we will see you.